Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest, one of the most popular episodes in the tank. And it's not because they're just beautiful looking women. It was just the back and forth with the sharks. And Meghan handled them. I loved it. I have to tell you. And then she walked out, and this is my favorite part. She's walking down what we call Shark Tank Alley. She said, they're not stealing my company from me. I was like, that's not a girl. Good for you. That's a ridiculous offer. I would love the girls were chatting. And we're like, and by the way, these aren't beautiful women these are smart, intelligent women that knew what the heck they were doing. Business-wise, golf-wise. I mean, it was impressive. I was proud of them. Got it done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We call it, I got this from their website because I went to look for, Meghan, I went to look for a description of Caddy Girls, and there were all the Professional Female Training Academy. What? Well, that's not what I thought it was. Now, wait a minute. Is that maybe a facet? Okay. You can correct me. But anyway, I went to the website myself and it says specializing in providing fun, golf knowledgeable caddies for everyday outings, charity tournaments, and corporate events. Mm-hmm. That explains it all, doesn't it?
In a nutshell, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on. That's good to go. She was on the hit show Shark Tank season 6, episode 5. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited to welcome Meghan Tarmey to What Would You Ask podcast. Welcome, Meghan.
Thank you.
So I hatcheted the intro of Caddy Girls. Tell us give us a little bit of the origin, the history. How did you develop this? I know you told it on the show, but for those that don't remember season 6, tell us a little bit about it, the origin.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I was not a golf student. I was a cheerleader at Coastal Carolina University in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which, as many know, is the golf mecca of the East.
It is. Right over my shoulder, Kings North. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, nice. Love it. Did you go for the gambler on that hole?
Right there. Yes, I did. And I shot, that's my highest score. The card, I don't know if you could see the scorecard. 77 on Kings North. It was one of my best.
Oh, that's a tough course too. I'm surprised.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of balls lost on that hole in the gambler. So good job.
Thanks. Go ahead. I interrupted. I apologize.
Yeah, no, good. It's all good. So I was going to Coastal Carolina. I had 3 jobs, cheerleading full time, working and just realizing that there's this thing called golf season, and I was working beer tubs at Broadway at the beach and selling shots there, and noticed these people in polos were really nice and good tippers, and I was like, what is going on here? I'm from New Hampshire, so we don't have golf season up there really. It's just snowing year round, so everyone's like, oh, the golfers are in town, it's we gotta own it now because it's golf season and these are the best tippers in all the land. So I was like, well, I want to work on a golf course. So initially, I was just trying to get a job on a golf course, but working around my schedule of school and cheerleading at every home and away game and practice and 7 a.m. runs, it just wasn't feasible, and no golf course would basically hire me. So I was like, well, I need to figure out a way to make my own schedule and be able to work on a golf course. And I've always been super competitive. I love all sports. I couldn't figure out why golf didn't have some kind of cheerleaders or female, you have like ice hockey girls, you have NFL cheerleaders, you have kind of all of that, and golf is a little stale. So I was like, well, I'll just hand out these business cards on my beer tub and see if I can get some golfers to hire me to caddy for them. And it was after one had said that, like, come out golfing with us tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, that's weird. And then I was like, going to my college roommate, I was like, what do you think of this idea? And she was like, sure, whatever. So I printed out these really crappy business cards on my computer, and just started handing them out in my beer tub and when I was selling shots. And the first group of golfers were like, yeah, we want 5 of you tomorrow. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have an elaborate business plan. I didn't have a big overall, long-term goal for this. It was like, I need to get by in college, being completely 100% financially independent, and I want to be outside on a golf course instead of behind a bar till 2, 3 in the morning. So, we just started from there. I had a couple of coastal cheerleaders, a coastal softball player on the team, and it was more just so I could make money for myself to pay my bills and stay in school. Essentially, that's how it started.
It's amazing. It really is amazing, because the funny thing about it is you're 100% right. I love to golf, but man, when you get a golf course, tournaments where you're backed up, to have like some interaction with anybody aside from the same 3 guys you usually golf with, or even if you're with a customer or, whatever, I mean, it is stale. I mean, when you're playing and you're playing well, even it's exciting. But there's a lot of downtime.
Yeah, and especially those big tournaments where it's backed up and you got two going off a tee. People are impatient, and then you have like the same thing every year. Like, okay, like we understand the same mulligans and closest to the pin competition, but like, what are these guys going to remember long term? That's something experiential of like human interaction, and you just can't beat that of someone making fun of your friend when they're like shanking off the tee, and you just. There's so many funny things and just interactions that happen with just face-to-face interaction and marketing that people really appreciate nowadays. I think a lot of our tournaments have realized that the retention rate of golfers returning every year because of us, I mean, it's proven true that it does work to boost the event. We raise more money for the charities that they're supporting, and the golfers overall have a good time. So
I'm with you. Why not have beautiful women on the golf course that know what they're doing? Let's not just, there's other kind of services and things you could do that are shady. And I'm not sure why anybody would be interested in that on the golf course. Number one, like that.
Yeah, like keep it at the club.
Right. That's all right.
We support it, but we don't want it on the golf course.
That's exactly right. So now you have beautiful women, educated, both socially, but also golf wise. What impressed me most, and we'll get to you in the tank because I want to hear about your audition and that journey. But what really impressed me about you in the tank is someone asked, what did these girls do? And you went rapid fire, and you didn't say measure. You said we give yardage. We pull clubs. Like you did all the golf lingo, right? You didn't say we rake the sand. You said we rake the bunker. Little subtleties. We read putts. There was just, you could tell that you were schooled in golf and you know what you're talking about, as opposed to, and I know you could have studied that, but just the way you rapid fired, it was like she's on her game here. It was
I love caddying, and I love reading a green for a golfer and helping him make a putt. Like I love being able to club him and understand what club he's going to use by the fourth hole because I pay attention. There's so many different nuances and things that people don't understand that like a caddy can actually really help, despite if it's a cute girl or not. At the end of the day, the golfers are generally doing better, unless we get the drunk bachelor party once in a while that are just train wrecks that we can't stand. But at the end of the day, people appreciate it, and I appreciate a serious golfer. When I'm caddying, I love it. A lot of our girls are starting from scratch and never been on a golf course before. We go through training handbooks. We have a video testing. We work with the PCA, which is the Professional Caddies Association, doing our best. Our main markets, we have girls that do golf 6-7 handicaps. Other markets, it's a struggle, but we do the best we can. We come out with Caddy Tip Tuesdays for a girl where we blast them out a new tip, whether it's fixing a pitch mark or parking the cart in the shade, just basic things to try to keep them on their game and ongoing education for them.
That's cool. So tell us in the timeline. So you start the business, you get it rolling in South Carolina. By the way, Myrtle Beach, you're right. I mean, there's not, what else is there to do? I think there's 1 million golf courses and 2 million mini golf courses, but every corner. But so you start that business. Give me the timeline to even the thought of Shark Tank. I mean, where did that come from?
I graduated from Coastal 08. I moved to New York City. I was done with Myrtle Beach. I wanted to work in theater, and I wanted to work, in film and in production and stuff like that. So I'm up in New York, and golfers keep calling me at like 7 a.m. for caddies. And I was like, why aren't these people going away? And someone's like, Meghan, you're an idiot. Like, you have business falling in your lap. You've never spent money on advertising. You've never marketed the company. You have repeat clients coming back to you every year. You have free money being thrown at you. Like, what are you doing? So I was like, all right, quit my job, put in my 2-week notice. I'm like, I'm going to focus on Caddy Girls like full force and just see what happens. If not, I'm just going to like close this chapter and move on. And 2 people actually kept mentioning like, hey, you should be on Shark Tank. And I was like, there's no friggin' way. I love the show. I was, a big fan of the show anyway, watching it. I downloaded the paperwork. I filled out this giant packet. I put it in the envelope. It sat in my backseat for weeks. I was like, there's no way. This is stupid. I'm stupid. No one's going to pick me. This is ridiculous. And then one night I was drinking wine, and like 3 glasses in, I just emailed production. I was like, hey, this is my company. This is why it's the best ever. So a little liquid courage never hurt. And they called me back like immediately. And I was in Germany working a trade show at the time, and they were leaving voicemails from Los Angeles. And I was like, who keeps calling me? I'm like, oh, it's Vincent from casting at Shark Tank. And I was like, are you shitting me? They're like, send that paperwork in now. I was like, well, I have it stamped. I just didn't send it. So I sent that in, they called me back, and then it was just a continuation of like next steps. And I was on it like that. They sent me something, I had it back to them same day. I had every single booking down to the penny from the last 5 years written down and on record. So like my stuff was actually pretty organized, and they told me that like, your business isn't that lucrative, but you're so organized compared to a lot of people that apply for this that just don't have their shit together. So I don't know.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So you get out to Culver City and you get to the studio. Did you go through any iterations of how you would do it, or did you envision the golf cart with the girls? We're all driving in, and then I'll just do my thing.
I was really lucky to have two awesome producers. So when you go on the show, they assign you these liaisons throughout it that help you and assist you and coach you and berate you. And I had Kate Ryu, she's won like Emmys for this show, and Mike Bagood, and they're both were so awesome in working with me and beating me down. And it was like 6 months of preparation between, start to when I got to Culver City. And quite frankly, like after all of the paperwork and videos and all of these different things and hurdles that I got over, when they called me like, here's your ticket to California, I was literally like crying. So they were the ones that were like, look, we want you to be wearing pink. We want you to be super girly. I was like, I want to be sporty and like come in and just like, and like, no, just trust us. But that's television. I will give it to them. Like the show is very, very real. It's true to its nature and what it does. And it's a real lineup with real investors. They helped me visualize that backdrop is a Myrtle Beach course. That backdrop that I use is Kings North, actually.
Oh, cool.
And I had that blown up because I wanted like a piece of Myrtle Beach in there.
Yeah.
The golf cart idea I wanted to do. I was the first person to have a motorized vehicle go through those doors ever in the history of Shark Tank. And that cart was actually specifically made for Betty White for a previous production. Oh, cool. So I thought that was really cool because it's like light pink, and inside it had some really nice mahogany finish. And I had to like rent the green at the time, which ended up in Ricky Fowler's backyard after I rented it. So Ricky's putting where I've stood right now. So supposedly that's what the turf guy said. Who knows? But I mean, that was just how that all kind of rolled out. So
you get in there and it's your show. The girl, I mean, I'm not implying that the girls couldn't have contributed, but did it was never thought of anybody else handling Q&A. This is your business. You're handling the whole thing, right? Was that concerning to you? I'm just asking because people go in there with three guys. We're all three brothers. And sometimes people go in there and one person doesn't speak. Brody just said you're the 90th entrepreneur from Shark Tank. So we've done a lot of interviews, and there's been companies where I just saw that we did the interview too. The guy came out and said he's the CEO. Oh, it was the cooler with the air conditioner. And the guy in the middle made his money somewhere, $14 million, and he put it in. But the CEO, if you watch it, I forgot the cooler's name, but it's the one with the hose that you could hold on yourself if you're at a football game. Kind of crazy idea. But anyway, CEO didn't say a word. And I'm just wondering if people bring people out there for comfort or whatever. You just did the whole thing yourself. So initially, I own 100% of the company. So as the owner, they told me like I was the only one that was allowed to release. Oh, really? So originally they wanted 2 local models from LA or 2 local Caddy girls from LA to go on the show with me as, talent. So basically because it's on national television, it's union talent, SAG-AFTRA. And I said, no, I don't want randos on with me. I want to bring my best friends, my 2 right hands. So Lisa and Jess were an integral part of me building the business, both caddying and my head lead agents. And Jess was like my marketing director at the time. So I flew them out there. I was like, I want them to be on it. But because of the SAG-AFTRA union rules, they were only allowed to have so many lines because they were not actually the owners of the company pitching. Got it. Makes and the sense. Sharks kept firing questions at them too. And they cut a lot of it out. I mean, really? I was in there for like an hour. They cut out so much. Hour to 8 minutes. We hear it all the time. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I do think you were represented really well. I mean, you, and I don't know what happened on the other part. I'm sure there's stuff left on the floor, but they represented you as you handling them, knowing your business, knowing your numbers, knowing golf, and this not be just a pretty girl, another guys get a chance to hang out with a pretty girl. It wasn't that at all. And You know, I thought that was cool.
I was, I was very nervous, but also I felt like I came prepared. I spent every waking second preparing for that moment for months. I quit drinking 2 weeks before because I wanted to be like as clear as possible, because it's so easy for TV to skew, a dumb blonde on TV because they cut and edit how they want. They cut every look how you want people to give you a look after you say something. So I understood that. I wanted to be 1,000% prepared. At one point, which they cut out, Robert turns around to production. Is like, I can't get her on anything. Like, she has an answer for everything. What do we do? Because they were just like, hit me, bam, 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 bam. And I was like, boo, 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 boo. And then they're just, I got very lucky though. After I saw the episode, it was like a huge wave of relief came over me. And I was like, wow, like they didn't make me look
good. Yeah, that's awesome. So Meghan, when you committed to coming on the podcast, we send out through social a bunch of announcements of upcoming guests, and they send us back questions. So I'm going to just fire off a couple at you. This one is from April, speaking of California, Huntington Beach. Must be real tough, April. Her question is, did you come with a specific shark in mind to cut a deal with?
I'm a huge Cuban fan, obviously, but he just doesn't like golf in general. But, a lot of the stuff that they all said to me off camera stuck with me, and some of the advice that he told me, like, keep going, you're doing a really good job, stuck with me. So, I would have loved to have Mark on my team, but.
Yeah. I hear Mark, and obviously, Mark has all the money compared to the other ones. They all have money, but I also hear that Mark is very good with his team is really good, and also he's really good with his entrepreneur. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Jack from Jupiter, Florida wants to know, were there key points of your presentation that were critical for the sharks to understand?
Yeah, it was hard to display what we do. We are a service-based business. We're not a product that you just manufacture and just blow out of the water by wholesaling in China. It just doesn't work that way. So, you get in there, you have your 1-minute pitch to try to break down your company. I had to make it, as quick and like realistic as possible. And we did have an entire part that was cut out of the caddies that I brought on, giving a read on the green for all the sharks to come up and putt, and they gave them read and direction, and we staged the whole thing like we were actually caddying for them. Unfortunately, they got so into it and they started having putt-offs between Kevin and Robert that the producers were eventually like, guys, we got to get moving. We got to go. So, there's so much on there that was cut out anyways, but I feel like that was probably, key, because it showed them like, hey, like Jess actually is giving them the read on the slope and everything, and like how the ball's gonna roll. I don't know.
Matt from Wilmington, North Carolina, has a question. He says, Meghan, my favorite episode ever on Shark Tank because I like golf. That's clever, Matt. That's very, very clever. He asks, were there any memorable anecdotes or funny moments that we didn't see on TV?
I think I swore like 17 times. And they put me saying, damn it, on like the promo episode, on commercials of me going, damn it. Also, when we rolled up, their eyes like lit up, like, what is going on? And then we started like making them come up and putt, and they were like having a blast. Like, they were in a really good mood. I got them right after lunch. It was Father's Day. They were super awesome.
Oh, that's cool. I remember you saying, damn it, because you asked, I think you asked Kevin, like, would you take this or something? He said no. And you went, damn it. And then they used it on the cut for everything.
Yeah, they use it on everything. Like, and it's me, like my face turning bright red because I'm trying not to like tell him to, eat shit because his offer was so terrible. But, it was Cuban that was really, really pushing me, like, Meghan, counteroffer. And I was like, no, screw this guy. And he was like, just listen to me. It's not that bad of a deal. I'm like, okay.
So I think, first of all, as I've said, I thought you were really impressive. I thought that the numbers, you said 148,000 in 2013. Then you said 34K just in the last month. And then you also said $100, $149 per caddy, but the caddy gets $100, which when I first heard that, I'm like, wow, she's paying a lot of money to the caddies. But then when you said that, I think you said that chronologically, you said that after you said the 148 in 2013. I'm thinking that's a lot of money. I mean, think about $50 going to the, I know you're talking about all revenue, but that's a lot. Why is that to be frowned upon when you're only in business for, you know, a year or two prior to being there? Do they look down on that not being, you know, big enough?
They all seem to, you know, surprised and impressed. You know, I didn't think I'd done very much revenue at that time, but also like we grew organically. We didn't have overhead either. You know, aside from paying the caddies, we don't have really a lot of overhead in this business. So they were impressed by our margins, you know, being up there around 40% compared to a lot of the business they do. But it's just scaling a service-based business without franchising is really, really hard.
How did you take, you handled it very well. You appreciated her feedback, and then you talked about insurance and stuff. But Lori's concern was about the drinking and harassment and stuff on the course. You must have heard that plenty, right? She was concerned about your caddies, not, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know, obviously harassment can happen anywhere. I've been harassed more working at a bar, and working in retail than I have on the golf course. It's in the middle of the day. You're out in the sun. You're surrounded by people. You have 14 weapons in the back of the cart. Like, if it just, you know, if there's one asshole in the group, like, it's pretty easy to just like avoid him and be with the other 3 golfers. But, you know, I've been harassed way more at different jobs than caddying, honestly.
And usually they discipline any, you know, if there's one guy that's been overserved a bit and he's acting a little bit, you know, too aggressive, I don't mean touching or anything, but too aggressive with his words, usually the other 3 guys, and the experience I've had when we've had female caddies out, I mean, it's usually taken care of by the other 3 guys because there's at least a modicum of, you know, decorum and respect. So exactly.
Yeah. And I think people by now, or even back then, like they get it, you know, like you have people that get it. Like we are this, you know, we don't go past that line of being like inappropriate. That's why we go to family oriented charity events where wives love us, kids are there and we're hanging out with the kids. You know, it's like, it's something that is like accepted widely what we do because we don't cross that line and be inappropriate. And we tell people, quite frankly, like when they call us, we screen them. And if they sound a little weird or like, can the girls wear bikinis on the course? Like, dude, this is not for you. Like, you just don't get it. Yeah. Go to the strip club, have a great time, you know, go to a bar, whatever, that's more for your type. And then our crew that we get, and we've had such wonderful clients over the last 14 years that are just amazing human beings that, you know, are just wonderful people. I think that they just understand, you know, what we do.
Do you find, just a side question here, do you find a lot of interest in women that are interested in I mean, if I don't have any grandeurs of being a female caddy, but do you like, I would think that a woman that has a husband or a boyfriend, a brother, a friend that's a guy that loves golf, that's not a bad gig, right? Like, why would I not go out and try to be a caddy and make good money?
It's great money. It's think about this, right? If you're in college, you have classes all day, you have study exams at night, you're doing all this and that. What are you going to do? Work retail, make $8-9 an hour?
Or go be a waitress after all that?
Yeah, you're going to live below poverty. You're going to go be a waitress, make $2.13 an hour, hoping that you make tips, which is the only way you survive. And then you're sometimes there till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, 10-hour shift. This is something that is in the middle of the day. It's 4.5 hours. You're making anywhere from $20 to $50 an hour. And mostly, like, you know, on a Saturday and a Sunday, you make enough in 1 week to get by so that you can go to school all week or, you know, work other jobs. We have moms that are in real estate. We have single mothers. We have girls that are in master's programs right now. So it's cool. Just a great, you know, and you network with great people as well.
Yeah, that's good. I was just going to say that. That's a great point. Is you're meeting a lot of, especially in the tournaments, right? In charity events, you're meeting a bunch of people that are in leadership roles and can bring opportunity to you as well. Let me ask you a question. What about tips? Do you not allow tips? Are tips allowed? Tell us a little bit about that strategy.
Tips are encouraged. Okay. So, you know, even your standard male caddy at walking country club caddy is going to get tipped pretty well and thrive off tips. You know, I've made 0 tips before. I've caddied for, you know, French Canadians or British people that it's just not customary for them to really tip, and that's okay. We get a base rate. But, you know, and then I've made $1,000 tip, you know, from the least expecting people that were very dry and very serious golfers all day that didn't, you know, make a joke. So you just really never know.
So before we get to the Shark Tank effect, which is everybody knows that when it airs and what that meant to you, and did your website blow up, and did you get more people? I want to just touch on two people, Robert, and we know that Mark and Damon went out because they both don't like golf, and they both thought it was a great idea and the concept was cool and all that stuff, but they hate golf, and okay, whatever. But Robert said, you're in the hustling stage, not the investment stage at this point. I'm not sure I agree with that. I get that you're young and you're in the early stages, but I didn't relate that. I didn't think you were in a hustling stage. Means we're building a girl crew up, we're training them, we have one place we've tried. I mean, that's really early. I didn't think you were that early. How did you take that? Were you fine with that comment?
Well, he was the one that was most receptive to the entire business from the beginning, but then also was the hardest on me. Was like, you know, we went back and forth a lot. And I think that the turning point of him saying that was that at the end of the day, my business was not normalized at the time. I didn't have salary employees operating it. It was a one-woman show. And to scale, you can't be a one-woman show in every single state running it to make it really blow up. So I don't know if I agree with him so much either, of course, but at the end of the day, I did listen to, you know, his recommendations.
Sure. Kevin, I thought you had a great line, along with the line when you said that guy's weird when he asked you, you know, to caddy for him. That was funny as hell. When you said that, Kevin, you're the perfect customer, it shows up grumpy, and then the caddy makes him happy or something like that. It was perfect timing because, you know, he's that really stern kind of guy. He didn't know when he was going to get his money back. That's what his, you know, trial and tribulation was. But I thought you came in with asking what, 100 for 50% or something? I think that was what it was.
I came in at 100,000, I think at 20%, and he wanted 50%.
That's right. He offered 50%.
And I was, you know,
that's right.
Back at him, explain to him like, look, our year-over-year growth right now without being on Shark Tank and 8 million people seeing us is 30% growth rate year over year. So you'd have your money back like next year. Not a lot of money to be paying back. So,
right.
But I understand. I didn't think I was going to get an offer at all. I really didn't. I was like, I understand my business cannot just blow up like a product and just be, you know, manufactured. And
you also must have understood the value of 8 million people taking a look at your, you know, services and what you do is a tremendous, you know, that's irreplaceable. So
I could never market.
No, that's right. So let's talk about the experience of the Shark Tank effect. So you leave the studio, no deal. You air how long? 3 months, 4 months later, or was it longer?
So first of all, once you leave, they tell you, hey, there's a good chance your episode will never air.
Yeah.
So after all of that stress, I mean, I was like crying after, and it was a decompression thing of just being like, oh, you know, like, I can't believe I just went through all of this. You know, when you first get there, you have to do it in front of producers first to even make it to go in front of them. And then you're leaving and they're like, hey, you might never actually air. And I was like, oh my God, that would be horrible. And so I was just prepping for the worst, like always. And they called me like 2 weeks later. They're like, hey, you got chosen for the home episode. And that's when you know you're going to air. And like, we liked you so much, we're coming to Myrtle Beach to film for an entire day to learn your backstory. And that was when I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Because that's also like 1 in 10 companies that are on even get that opportunity. So.
Right. That's great. I did see that now that you say that.
That was September. So we filmed in June, Father's Day to July. And we filmed that September this week, actually. That was when it happened. And then it ended up airing in October.
Wow. That's awesome. That's good stuff. I could have told you, I could have bet my house on the fact that you guys were going to air. I mean, just, you know, come on, if that doesn't get on, somebody got to fire a producer. And they have really, really good producers there. So that was definitely going to happen. So tell us about the Shark Tank effect. You find out your airing date. We're having a party.
So all the caddies in Myrtle Beach came over to my house and we had Shark Tank cupcakes. My dog had a shark costume. We probably had 20 girls there or so.
Cool.
over to have a viewing, and I was obviously peeing my pants, nervous. And even as the previews were on commercials, people started blowing up my phone and Facebook. You're not allowed to tell anyone that you were going on until like the week before or something like that. Yeah. I was sworn to secrecy. Like even my own family couldn't know the outcome or what happened. So it was really intense. I was super nervous. They were going to make me look stupid, but it was all right.
And what happened to the website? What happened to the emails? Were you?
Oh God, we tried to prepare. Our website crashed at one point because of how many visitors were on at a time. So it did crash for momentarily. My email inbox absolutely blew up. I think it was over 100%. So I think that crashed too. I had a lot of really nice people that reached out and said great things. I had a couple complete psychopaths that also said horrible things. I had over 100 investment offers overnight in 24 hours. That's and they were coming from all over, and it was from like California to people, and it was even female investors that, were reaching out. But I was so overwhelmed at the time, and it was so much to go through, like who's full of shit, who's not, how do I even start these conversations and moving forward with these, that, I kind of took a step back, and I was like, I'm going to wait to see how we can grow organically without having a partner, because no partner is the best partner, right? Where you don't have to, probably could have helped a lot, but we grew 600% year over year after Shark Tank. So the following year we exploded. As soon as it aired, I hit the ground running. I went to 6 different golf markets on a road trip and just started hiring and training, meeting, just a lot of girls at different courses all over the US so that I could kind of gear up, stock up on talent, and be prepared for, the influx of business.
What does it mean to be part of the Shark Tank family? And by the way, I've learned this through doing this series on Shark Tank, that you getting a deal does not mean you're part of the family or not. If anybody that appears on Shark Tank, you're in, right? And I know of the Shark Tank Facebook, private group, and I know that you guys kind of use each other resources, at least some of you do. I think that's really cool. I think that's cool that that group, because think about you guys are such a small group compared to the mass amount of people that want to be part of that group. And then just, it's just amazing that there's I was trying to think of the number of applicants, like 40,000 people annually. It was
like 40,000 a year I applied.
Yeah. And less than 100 get in. So it's just crazy numbers. I want to ask you about what that means to you as far as promoting your brand. So and I'll give you what I found out. And I've said this on probably the last 50 of the entrepreneurs, because the first 40, I was finding it out. There's a small group of people that use Shark Tank everywhere. If you went to a trade show, they'd have sharks on the wall. They might have a live shark there. They're all about sharks, right? And that's a small percentage. There's a middle percentage that's the massive, probably 99 or 97%, which is Shark Tank was, it helped us, maybe speed up our business in many ways. It may have opened a couple doors. It put us on the right trajectory from a financial, because of the bump we get from, the ongoing shows and the major hit we can get from the first episode. But it was only a slice of who we are as a business. Doesn't define us. It's part of our business. That's the main, what everybody rides. And then there's another group, which I've interviewed 3 of these entrepreneurs. I won't mention them because it's not important, but they don't want to associate themselves any longer with Shark Tank, because they don't want to be identified as Shark Tank being the reason they were successful. They look at it as, and I've asked them this point blank. I said, so when you're meeting with a buyer at Target or Walmart and wherever, you're not mentioning Shark Tank at all. And they said, no, we don't want that. We want to go in and 2 of the guys specifically had products that would be sold in C-store, convenience stores and grocery stores. And the other guy had a service. But anyway, the meat of the story is the fact that they don't have it on their LinkedIn. They have the business, but they don't say, we're on Shark Tank this year. Yeah. They don't have it on their website anywhere. It's non-existent. And my only thought to them, and we had a little bit of back and forth, was, I think you're underappreciating what we, the public, forget the buyer at Walmart, we, the public, think about what you guys have go through to get on that show.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and anybody in business, we read articles. I read 3 newspapers every day. We know what goes on. Now, do I know it more intimately now that I'm doing this? Yes, I do. But it's almost that your business is being vetted by what's behind the producers, the finance guys, the lawyers. They're all vetting your business, and they're putting a stamp of approval on it saying you're worthy to go into the Shark Tank to those 5 people. If they were bringing crap to Mark Cuban, he wouldn't be on the show anymore. And I get there's a guy that squeezes through because it's a cutesy thing or he's got a weird, personality. They got to throw that in there once in a while. But for the most part, I've watched every episode of every season.
Wow.
Believe me. That's why my wife lives in a hotel. No, she doesn't. But anyway, just give me your thoughts on that. The kind of where do you?
Oh my God. I'm so forever grateful. And, I try not to overuse the fact that we were in Shark Tank, but I mean, it is one of our openers for when people ask about the business or probably see our webpage. We don't post a video or footage or photos from it everywhere or try to overdo it. But that's a once in a lifetime experience that so many, hundreds of thousands of people want to do and never get the chance to do that. So, I went in with just like, I was praying. I was like, look, if anything happens, I don't even care about a deal, but let me just like be myself and really just absorb this experience and just get so much from this experience in front of these phenomenal people in front of me for however much time I'm in there for. So it was pivotal for us. It completely legitimized, a lot of what we do because I've been fighting an uphill battle with the golf industry for years. So it helped us a lot because then people understand, like, look, the vetting that you have to go through to be on that show, you have to be squeaky clean to be on that show. So it's helped me tremendously. And like, I will forever, name drop Shark Tank as long as I need to.
I have to ask you Mike's question from New Haven, Connecticut. He asks, how many wedding proposals or marriage proposals, did you get through after your episode aired?
I did get like 2. I did. I had another Facebook page that was public, and mostly because Shark Tank was coming on, I didn't want my private one out there, and I eventually shut it down because it was like. Yeah.
Did you get recognized? Do you still get recognized? I bet you do.
Occasionally people, or they'll just like stare at my face,
they know you
on an airplane. Like, I know you from somewhere. Right after, I had a lot of people come up to me, approach me. Like even I remember like an airline stewardess one time was like, "Who are you?" "Oh yeah, I saw you on Shark Tank." So, not so much anymore. But then again, our episode re-airs like every 6 months. I was just at Foxwoods 2 weekends ago for a tournament up there. And after the tournament, we were all out this like dinner banquet, eating after. And like 3 guys come running over to my table and like, "I just got the shower in my hotel room. Your face is on the TV right now. And I was like, "I know her. She caddied today. Like, I know her." And I was like, "Wait, it's on right now." And I see my email inbox blowing up and like, getting your messages on Facebook. And, but yeah, that was wild. That was just 2 weeks ago.
Does the business still get a bump when the thing airs or no?
Yeah.
That's nice. Right?
I'll know because it's always like 10 p.m. at night and I'm like 3 drinks in when all of a sudden it's like ding, 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 ding,
Thank you.
Subscribing to my email. And I'm like, the gift that keeps giving, right? But it's always the worst time. It's always when I'm like out partying or something. I'm like telling my agents, please be near the phones.
That's cool. So tell everybody what's going on with the business today. Has it evolved? Where is it? Tell us a little bit about it.
We have evolved. So when I started, I was in Myrtle Beach doing a tiny little bit in maybe like Florida and a tiny bit in Arizona. So we're now operating in like over 12 states. We even started in like Oregon this year. Got some girls that are university golfers that are caddying in Oregon now. We did some international tournaments. So we took, 20 girls last year, the Dominican, for a huge budget event. And did a tournament there. We did one in Mexico. We've just, growing as much as possible in the most feasible way. Like, again, I can't be everywhere at all times. The girls that work for me that are my agents, they had to caddy for like 2 years minimum to become an agent to understand like the business, and they do great work. The pandemic hit this year. We were down 82% Q2. from last year. So that was really painful. We finally had secured the Derek Jeter tournament in Vegas that I've been going after for 5 years.
Wow.
And it got canceled. So it was, it's been a rough year, but golf is deemed one of the safe sports right now. Our caddies are distancing on the course, and it's one of the safer places and activities to do. So this October, we picked right back up, and it's going really well.
That's awesome. Congratulations on all your success, Meghan. I really
you.
appreciate you joining us today, and we wish you the best in the future.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll be back with more What Would You Ask podcast in a second.